Morning, Joe and the Pro. It's Thursday. Tony's drinking his coffee. We got Tony Finn with us, one of the most respected handicappers out there. The dude's a winning machine. Maybe he can tell you a bit about it, but I'll tell you guys, you bet Tony Finn over the last year, you've made yourself an incredible sum of money, killing it in the NFL, winning in every sport, Tony.
Every sport, yes. NFL actually down. I'm less this year in NFL than I have been the last 4 previous years, but it's a winning season, so let's continue.
You and me both, brother. A winning season, but not my best, to say the least. Anyway, my friend, how was your New Year's? Good?
It's a great New Year. Got a fresh start. I noticed that you had started 4-1 in 2019, which is what I started, 4-1 in 2019. If we could do that every 2 days or 3 days, we probably wouldn't have to do this anymore. We could retire.
4-1, great start to the year for both of us and listeners. Quick promo for you guys. If you want to bet the next 7 days with Tony, head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the promo code Tony59, $59 for the next 7 days of all Tony's plays, including Wild Card Weekend. Same with myself. I just came off the most incredible year a handicapper can have. I made close to 200 units of money, 200% return on your money in one calendar year. And 2019 has started off great, as Tony just said, 4-1 to start, perfect in hoops. 0-1 in NHL, but I do have 2 tonight. So if you want to get all 7 days of my plays, including Wild Card Weekend, use Prez, P-R-E-Z, or Z as the rest of the world would say, 59. That's Prez 59. You can find it at WagerTalk.com. Tony, before we get into it, we're going to talk a little bit quickly about what's going on at WagerTalk, and then you're going to give us 2 basketball free picks, and we'll talk a couple of NFL games. We got to start with Carmine Bianco. We talk about this every day. It's this run has been going on for a month now, Tony. He is on a 22-2 hockey run. A 22-2 hockey run. That is utterly ludicrous. I don't actually remember, and Tony, maybe you might, but I don't remember either of us being 20-2 in 24 plays in any sport.
No, I don't. If I remember that, I would be bragging about it. I don't remember.
It's actually unbelievable. And guys, if you want to play the next 7 days of Carmine's hockey, it's only $39. $39. The guy's on a 22-2 run. Just head over to WagerTalk.com and use the promo code PuckTime, and he'll be with us next week on the show PuckTime, which we do every day. Today's show is with Andrew McGinnis and Alex B. Smith. You can find it at WagerTalk TV. Also want to mention Marco. Marco's got a college basketball game tonight. He won again last night, 3 in a row in college basketball, 27-15 run in his games of the day. Marco is in must-play mode in hoops, folks. So head over to WagerTalk and check him out as well. Tony, let's get straight into it, brother. We've got a real sexy matchup in the NBA tonight. Leonard is back in San Antonio. I think we're going to get a beast of a game out of him tonight. The Raptors, the leading team in the league, 28-11, are a short dog against the 21-17 Spurs. And I know DeMar wants to play good tonight. I know DeMar wants to bring his best. The problem is DeMar never brings his best in a game that he wants to bring his best in. We've seen that in Toronto year after year in the playoffs. When the time has come, when the money's on the line, DeMar is nowhere to be found. I do not feel that way about Leonard. I think we're going to get Leonard's best game tonight. I'd like to know your thoughts, but I don't know how you cannot take the Raps in this spot.
Well, you can not take the Raps in this spot simply because San Antonio's beaten them 9 straight times. And you could also say, listen, 6-2-1 against the spread during that period of time, and San Antonio's 23-8 against the spread in their past 31 games at AT&T. But I couldn't agree more with you. This is a game where I think the number's wrong. I think at their average, I think Toronto. First off, Toronto's been terrific on the road this year. There's been no intimidation, and I think at their average, they're 3 or 4 points better than the San Antonio is at their best. I like Toronto tonight plus the the bucket.
I agree with you. 100%. I mean, look, San Antonio just beat Boston. They just beat the Clippers. The Raps just beat Utah and Chicago. Both teams are coming into this game fired up for the same reasons from a different perspective. But I got to believe that the better team is going to win tonight, and I got to believe Leonard is going to just lay the smack down. The over and under in this game is 217. I mean, all the totals have been higher lately. We're seeing much more scoring. At 217 still feels a bit high for a San Antonio game. What do you think about the total?
I could not agree more. If there's one thing that is, after a slow start by San Antonio, if there's one thing that has basically turned the corner for them and make them a 21-17, I think that's what you said. I think that's accurate. I believe, and I don't have the information in front of me, but just off my reading and my box score checking and finals checking, I think they allowed 98 points or less in half of their last 20 games. If they're going to win, if San Antonio's going to win, it's not because DeMar Rosen's scoring a bunch of points. It's going to be because they're going to be a defensive squad. And the same applies to Toronto. This number's a little bit too high. If you put a gun in my head, I agree. We're playing under 217.
So both Tony and I like the under, and we both like the Raps. Tony, Penn State on the road playing Michigan. Michigan is perfect, 13-0 on the season. No one really saw this coming. I mean, we expected great things from Michigan, but a perfect start to the season is impressive. Penn State is 7-6 so far this year. I don't remember the last time Penn State beat Michigan. It certainly wasn't this century, but they do play Michigan close. Michigan is -11. The over and under is 128. Penn State is 9-3 to the under, the last 12 overall. But look, in the last 17 times these teams have played each other, it's gone over 13 of those times. Do you think Penn State can keep this close?
Well, they're scrappy. They always that's their signature. They've always played teams close. Here's the problem. This is not a very good shooting Penn State team. Michigan, I think, has overachieved offensively from comparing last year's numbers to this year's numbers, but they're still that same defensive team.
If you look at their defense, their last 2 games alone, 52-50. The game before that, 62. They held Providence to 47 points.
Wow. They're allowing 55 points a game, and they haven't played a cupcake schedule.
No.
So let's put it this way: this is a better this league. The Big Ten is much better this year than last year, at least on the top half. And this is that's a big number to lay on a total. 11's a big number to lay when your total is under 130. It's a big number to lay. However, I can't back Penn State in this game. I really like the way Michigan's playing. This isn't a group that's going to be sluggish or sleepwalking after a holiday break. They really like Michigan tonight.
He's Tony Finn. I'm the Prez. You're watching Morning Joe and the Pro. You can find us at WagerTalk TV on YouTube and, of course, at WagerTalk.com. You can get the next 7 days of Tony's plays for $59. Use the promo code Tony59. And if you want the next 7 days of my plays, use the promo code Prez59. Tony, back to the Penn State-Michigan game really quick. One of the things that we see with Penn State all the time, and I think this is really how to bet this game, is I think Penn State will keep it close for the first half. I don't mind Penn State as a first half bet. I think where you're going to see this game sort of explode and run away from Penn State is in the last 10 minutes of the game. So I don't think minus 11 is that big a number here. I think you're going to see Michigan pull away and win this game somewhere around 70-50, which will keep it under and keep the spread solid for Michigan.
No argument. Again, I believe Michigan will back up a little bit offensively as they get into conference play, especially when they play the upper half of this conference. Penn State's is not in the upper half of this conference. They do not shoot the ball well enough. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. I love watching Michigan play defense, and they've been fun to watch through the non-con, or at least most of them, where they got 2 or 3 conference wins right now. But they are going to be fun to watch in March. They sure were last year.
Tony, let's talk NFL. I know you've got a bunch of plays up for this week at WagerTalk.com. I'm going to talk to you about first the Seattle-Dallas game, and then we're going to talk about the Philly-Chicago game. I like to get the opinions of everybody during Morning Joe throughout the week on, their leans towards some NFL games, because that's obviously, the sexy sport right now where most of the money is being bet. Dallas is -2 and the over and under is 43. And let's talk about the total in this game. Everything intuitively suggests this game going under. We expect Seattle to run the ball at least 35 times in this game, including Russell Wilson. And we expect Dallas to really be a run-heavy team as well. I think we're going to see the ball run maybe close to 60 times in this game, which definitely suggests this play going under. I'm slightly concerned, though, because Russell Wilson is airing the ball out. I mean, we are seeing 30, 40-yard bombs from Russell Wilson 3 to 4 times a game. And now that Doug Baldwin is playing, that's going to open up the passing game a little bit more. Since Amari Cooper came, Dallas has been able to stretch the field, opening up the slot for their new tight end and for guys like Cole Beasley. I feel like even though this game just reeks of an under, I'm nervous.
Yeah, it's funny. I think you outlined this almost perfectly. There's a couple caveats to this, and you even mentioned it subtly, and that is that the first time these two played in Week 3, the final was 24-13. Dak Prescott only completed 58% of his passes. He didn't have Amari Cooper. And Doug Baldwin wasn't even playing for Seattle. And both of these teams have improved as the season's gone along, much more so on the Seattle side. So I think the line's pretty. I think it's a pick 'em game. Seattle, if you're gonna handicap this game, I'll just share a little bit. And that is, the edge really goes to Pete Carroll. Carroll versus Garrett isn't even close, in my opinion.
Well, Tony, I mean, this is really one of those straightforward playoff matchups where do you want the better QB and do you want the better coach? And I think Seattle, I think everybody knows that Seattle has the better coach and has the better QB. And they're also a disciplined bunch, an experienced bunch. They're not far removed from a Super Bowl. I grant you that, Sherman is not there and, Chancellor is not there, et cetera, et cetera. But this team has got a lot of players that went to that Super Bowl, and a lot of the coaching staff went to that Super Bowl. They're not afraid to play on the road. I'm with you. I lean towards Seattle, but I'm still trying to figure out how to play this total.
Well, listen, the Legion of Doom, as you well described, is gone. However, there is Bobby Wagner. And Bobby Wagner is still just one of the I argue he's still, I think, maybe the best defensive player in the National Football League. And this team, Pete Carroll has coached this team up, not only the offensive line, but the defense. And you described it. They're disciplined. They've had there's been better Seattle defenses the last 3 times these two teams have played, but Dallas has failed. Dallas has had better offenses than they've had this year, in my opinion, with Jason Witten in the past. and they have failed to score 13 or more than 13 points against the Seattle defense the last 3 times they've played.
Let's talk about the total in this Philly-Chicago game. Such an interesting number. 41 is so low in this day and age. Yet here we have a Chicago team that held Minnesota in must-win mode to 10. They held San Fran to 9. I grant you it's still San Fran, but they didn't even get a touchdown. Green Bay to 17, and then they held the Rams to 6 points, Tony. Now you have a Nick Foles-led Philadelphia team that can't seem to stop scoring. 24 against Washington, 32 against Houston, 30 against the Rams, 23 against a Dallas team that is really good on defense, and so on. 28 against Washington, 25 against the Giants. I mean, this is one of those games where whoever dictates is where the total is going to land. If Philly can score, this game's going to go over. And if Chicago keeps Philly down, this game is going to go under, because I can't count on Chicago putting up a whole bunch of points. I mean, they put up 14 against San Fran, 15 against the Rams. This team is basically, this over and under is basically going to come down to whether Philly can score or not.
Yeah. Philly is it fair to, if you believe like I believe, that teams do have, they come off, call it a Super Bowl hangover, call it whatever you want, but the change from Wentz to Foles has not been a negative. If anything, it's been a positive. And if you're looking at the total based on surface numbers alone, ignore the underlying peripherals, then you can't possibly not like the under here, especially with the 4 top defensive players gone for quite some time now from Philly's secondary. If Trubisky doesn't turn the ball over, I don't know how this game stays under that number.
He's Tony Finn. I'm the Prez, and that's a really good point about the secondary. I think Philly's gonna, load up in the box, and I think they're gonna. I think even with their bad secondary, I think they're gonna challenge Chicago to throw the ball.
Mark this down too. Philly's is gonna struggle. They've struggled defensively all year. They're gonna struggle getting to Trib. The return of Kyle Long from injured reserve makes this Chicago offensive line, they've given Trib time. Again, if he covets ball protection to any degree in this game, I agree with you. 41 is a very low number, especially when the weather's supposed to be 45 or 50 and a 5-mile-an-hour wind in Soldier Field. You can't be playing an under on weather base.
He's Tony Finn. I'm the Prez. It's Morning Joe and the Pro. Tomorrow's show, myself and Marco D'Angelo will take apart all 4 games for this coming weekend. As well, we might talk a little bit about a little horse racing. And we'll talk some hoops. Tony, thanks for joining us, brother. Best of luck. Listeners, make sure to play Tony. Use the promo code Tony59, $59 for 7 days, all sports. He's 4-1 to start the year. Real pleasure having you on, brother. Be well, and we'll speak to you in the next few days.
The honor is all mine. Happy New Year to you and everyone else listening, okay?
Ciao.